Simon Walker. Oh my goodness.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on in to Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I am your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Auburn takes down Jackson State, which is not a state, 112-66. We'll talk about the full game, but we've got to talk about the last few minutes. Simon Walker, oh my goodness, makes his Auburn debut, his college basketball debut, goes 5 for 5 for 3. What in the world?
A couple weeks ago, I really started wondering if he was going to be able to play and contribute because I loved his shot. I felt like he had a really nice shot, very, very natural shooter, and I was concerned because of this injury lingering a little bit. Is he going to be ready? Is he going to get any minutes? And then before the game on the floor, he was talking to a couple of us and a couple of media people, and he said, I'm cleared by the doctor. I hope to get in. So he was made available on the roster in the scorebook pregame in the book. So that means he could have come in. And then, Stephen waits until, I don't know, about 8-9 minutes left to go in the game. And I'm telling you, every time he touched it, it was pure. And I get it. The opponent, whatever. But the basket's the same for whoever's on the floor. And I'm telling you, he's got a really nice stroke, a very nice shooter. And if he can contribute at all off the bench with that outside shot, what a nice
You have to.
Tonight.
You have to play him.
Yeah. You can't.
I know you mentioned the opponent and whatever. The defense is going to be a little soft or whatever. But this is a guy who's getting his first ever minutes. I mean, you think there's some pressure and some nerves. Clearly, he didn't care. I mean, unbelievable. 7 minutes. He scored 15 points on 5 shots. That is absurd.
He has a reputation for being a great shooter. I mean, that's why Auburn got him to sign. They only took 3 in the class last year, and he was one of the 3. I mean, they wouldn't have taken it if they didn't think he could score. And he just is a natural shooter. And I just have been waiting and wanting to see what I heard, all the buzz about how he was such a good shooter. And man, tonight what a debut, what a coming out party.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. What a great story for that young man. Super, super cool. I think you have to play him, or you've got to give him a shot. So then, whose minutes does that impact? My guess is Bashir.
Exactly. You're reading my mind. And I don't think Bashir's fully healthy, and Bashir did some nice things on the defensive end tonight. Very, very active, hands in the passing lane, got some rebounds. But, man, Walker's just a spot-up shooter. He's one of those guys that's just, you either have that trait or you don't, and they don't grow on trees. And he reminds me a lot of Justin Powell before, the kid that played here in 2020 when he would be able to face the basket. He was a freshman.
Right.
And when you're able to spot up and shoot and get a clean look, Auburn was running some nice sets for him too. They're running a lot of off-ball screens, a lot of weaving, a lot of motion, and to get him open. And he was roaming the baseline, Zach. He would go from one side to another, get lost in Jackson State zone, and had open looks. And, man, it was just the release is pure. It's there.
Yeah, I mean, they were all no doubters. It didn't matter where he was on the floor. They all just looked good, pure as soon as he left his hand. I mean, incredible. That's awesome. I mean, we were kind of joking on the barn cast. We're like, what are we supposed to talk about? Then Simon Walker comes in. We're like, cool, he's getting to play. Oh, cool, he made his first shot. Oh, cool, he's 2 for 2 from 3. Oh, wow, he's 3 for 3 from 3. 4, he's made 5. Incredible.
You asked the question. Dap, is he going to redshirt? No. Not when you score 15 in 7 minutes. The red shirt is not even an option.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Other guys played really well. Keyshawn Murphy led Auburn in score. Yeah, led with 19, 8 for 11 took 3 threes. I don't like him doing that. I feel like it's going to be a thing that I say often this year after games is I don't like how many threes he took. But all in all, in 20 minutes, he scored 19 points. He was a problem down low for Jackson State.
He really was. I mean, it's just I've been talking about that secondary scoring, people needing to emerge, and man, did Auburn have it in buckets, in spades tonight with just different guys at different times. At times, Zach, it looks like Overton's going to take over the game. And then Jovic finally plays like he's capable of. And Murphy and Freeman. I mean, there were just Magwood coming off the bench playing really, really well. So there's not much else you can say except a balanced team effort. I get it. Again, I want to make a point about the opponent. Jackson State, not a strong team. Either was Wofford, either was Merrimack. Auburn didn't look like this. So there was a difference. You almost wonder if when you don't have Keyshawn Hall on the floor, people don't try to just rely on him and stand around and let him do his thing. They say, we got to pick up the slack. We got to get it going. And I saw that a little bit now. And I'm not saying that they're a better team without Keyshawn Hall. I'm saying some individual performances came about tonight because people couldn't just stand around and let him do it.
Yeah, and so, I mean, obviously, Simon Walker's not going to go 5 for 5 from 3 every night. But, like, looking at some of these guys who did lead Auburn in scoring, we mentioned Keyshawn. Filip Jovic, same thing, 8 for 10 of 18. They both just physically dominated. Which of those performances do you think is more sustainable against better competition?
Walker's or Jovic?
I'm sorry, Murphy's or Jovic?
Probably Murphy, because he's played the SEC game before. And I think the difference for me is he wasn't healthy. And tonight, Zach, he looked good. Finally fully healthy. And you can see a difference in him, his athleticism, his leaping ability, his explosiveness off the floor. All that looked different tonight because that knee is healing. So his is more sustainable because he's done it. He's been in the SEC battles and wars. But I'm telling you, don't let Jovic get going. If he does, this team becomes very, very dangerous because you got Freeman. You know Pettiford's going to play well in big games. When Hall comes back, I'm telling you, what we thought we could see at the beginning of the year, taking a little while to gel, yes. This team has 8 or 9 parts that on any given night, if they want to take Hall away when he comes back healthy and they want to shade to that side and double him, somebody's got to emerge, and we may have seen that tonight.
Yeah, and it's a little weird that it's not Dahad Pettiford, right? Like, that's odd.
I just think that, again, he is really, really, to a fault, embracing the role of point guard distributor. I watched him 2 or 3 times tonight pass up an open look to get the ball on the wing or get the ball down low to Murphy. And that's not the Dahad we knew coming off the bench last year because he had limited minutes and he was an assassin. He'd just come off the bench and shoot.
Right.
At some point, Steven will pull him aside and say, hey, Hod, to win tonight, we need you to be selfish. Shoot the basketball. It'll come. It's the reason why Auburn only lost by 1 to Houston. It's right. Because big game Dahad showed up. And against Purdue, Oregon, Michigan, Arizona, all those teams, he's going to have to play at that level.
Yep. Not worried about Dahad yet. Just because of what we saw against Houston, he was able to score, wasn't efficient. The 3 isn't falling for him yet, but we know that it's there. I still think it'll come. But I mean, even when he scored, he's kind of relied on getting to the free throw line. 2 for 9, like, not good. But did get 5 assists to your point, but also got 3 turnovers. So, like, I mean, it's not like he's been this, at least tonight, you talk about his role changing. It's not like he's being super efficient in that role either.
Look, I know this frustrates coaches, but sometimes a player is who they are. They are. I mean, he just does not play at a high level against inferior opponents. He didn't last year. He hasn't this year. He doesn't play particularly well at home. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying you look at his splits, and that's what it is. Yeah. When you need him the most is when he'll show up. SEC play, especially on the road. And And that's who he is. That's in his DNA. I don't know why. It's just it is what it is. And we'll see how that plays out the rest of the year.
Yep. All right, chat, drop who your MVP player of the game is. I think there's a few really good answers, so I think we actually might get some different ones, so that's fun. And also, let's look ahead to the next 5 because it's about to get really, really fun and really, really interesting. That's next right here on this live edition of Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book, and right now, new customers at FanDuel, you can bet $5. If your first $5 bet wins, you get $300 to use throughout the app. Auburn, a 27.5-point favorite against Mercer. Do you think Auburn wins by 4 tutties? I think it's a good line, Darrell. I think I would take Auburn to cover right now. And then the Iron Bowl. Auburn just a 5.5-point dog against Alabama.
Yeah, I like both of those lines. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see how the line moves in the Alabama game as it gets closer to kickoff after Mercer. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so head over to FanDuel.com to get in on the action. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. Had a message from someone earlier today saying, hey, Zach, thank you for talking about Game Time on the podcast. They got tickets. They got in for $16 tonight. I'm trying to give them a shout out, but they got in to watch the game tonight for $16, which I think is awesome.
I love that. I love games like this when people that normally feel like they can get priced out a little bit of the game. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's what it's all about. They come to a game, and then if you paid $16, you more than got your money's worth in this game. I'm telling you, there were a lot of special things. Dunks, high-flying dunks, and then Simon says 5 threes.
That's right. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase today. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. That's with Game Time. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day and coming here after every single Auburn basketball game. Auburn wins 112-66. Player of the game, it's hard not to say Simon Walker, but I am going to say Keyshawn Murphy. I was really pleased with that. And I've kind of been critical of Keyshawn Murphy throughout the offseason and even so far this season. And he's proving me wrong. At least he did tonight, which is awesome. And it's great for Auburn because I've been worried about kind of Auburn's presence around the rim, and that was not an issue tonight.
No, that's a good one. You can choose one of 4, really. I'm going to go with Jovic just because I think he was much maligned. And Jackson State has a couple of bigs. Now, they're very, very immobile as far as scoring, but they're very good. They were pretty strong physically, 6'11", and Jovic worked him. I mean, he did. So, and he was very aggressive, got dunks, went to the basket, looked stronger, didn't get stripped. So I'm going to give him his props, and because I've been riding him pretty hard this year, and give him player of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, okay, you said 4. Who's the 4th one? Overton?
Freeman, Walker,
Freeman.
Murphy, because Freeman, I mean, in the first half, he had 10 points.
There was a stretch of about 5 minutes where he just did whatever he wanted.
10 points and 6 assists before someone came back, literally before someone got popcorn and got back to their seat. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Him stealing that inbound and then scoring. And I think he came down and shot a 3 after. Like it was like he did whatever he wanted to do.
I love that he has an inside-outside game. You know, you think of him as a high flyer, a high riser, dunk on your head kind of guy, but he can hit the 3. And if that translates to the versatility of inside-outside, he's going to be very, very difficult to defend. And people keep saying, and I've heard the buzz in the arena. When I was courtside, there's people, SEC network guys and stuff, talking about Freeman probably being Auburn's best pro prospect.
That's crazy. Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. Okay, looking at Auburn's next 5. So they will play Oregon next on Monday in Vegas. And then they will take on Michigan, who is ranked 7th right now. And then we don't know who that 3rd game will be against. And then NC State, who's ranked 25th. And then they go to Arizona, who's ranked 4th. So these next 5 games are Unbelievable.
With the whole Keyshawn Hall factor up in the air, I'm just going to say 2-3.
You don't think he plays on Monday? You think that's in question right now?
I think that's in question. I do. I watched him very closely. I heard what he said about, he doesn't even know when he's going to play. He'll play when the doctor says he can play. I heard that out of his own lips. He had a walking boot on. Do they hold him out Monday thinking they can beat Oregon, who's unranked and a little bit pedestrian? Could they beat an Oregon team without him? Yes. And then you have him for Tuesday, so you're basically going on 6 days from now. We'll see.
Oregon beat Hawaii by 1. They barely beat Rice by 4. They beat South Dakota State 83-69 and then beat Oregon State 87-75. So that's a nice win there. But yeah, can Auburn handle Oregon without Keyshawn? Possibly. If they play like they did in the first half tonight, they can.
Yeah, I think they've got enough to do that. I think the way that Murphy's coming on and Freeman and Overton, and I expect Tahad under the lights of Vegas on the Strip to go off. That's his kind of tournament. That's his kind of game. Now, one of the things you got to be careful about in these big tournaments is, sometimes you play in these tournaments where there's not a lot of distractions. There's a lot of distractions, and there's a lot. I mean, pro teams go to Vegas and struggle. I mean, when they go play, teams that are Las Vegas. So you got to be careful and keep that into consideration. But this is his kind of tournament, his kind of game. Bright lights, big stage, Strip of Vegas. Let's go.
Yeah, right. But all in all, got to be happy with what Auburn did tonight. They took care of business and they dominate. The line was 30. They won 112-66. So you take that. You absolutely take that. Anything else from tonight just being there that we need to touch on before we wrap up that?
I really love the way they were so unselfish. And I think one of the biggest indications of a team starting to come together is how they share the basketball, how they rotate on defense, how they communicate. And Auburn did all 3 of those things at a high level tonight. That seems like they knew where they were on the floor. The passing, unbelievable as far as knowing where your teammate was and finding the open man. That's an art that doesn't need to be overlooked. So I like that a lot. I like the fact that they got out of that little free throw slump and started hitting went on a roll there late.
Yeah.
Zach, there were a couple moments in this basketball game where Auburn at one point hit 10 field goals in a row and was 10 of 12 at another juncture during the game.
It's crazy.
That's pretty crazy.
That is crazy. So good performance by the Tigers. Let's hope it translates and they do it again on Monday against Oregon, a much better team. Darrell, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, Dap6410, Wednesdays and Fridays with you, Locked On Auburn, and then, of course, Saturday, the Mercer game. We'll record after the game and drop that bad boy Sunday morning.
That's right. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.